for Nyx?
Hashtag pulling for Nyx, shooting for Nyx, something like that.
I'm gonna find it.
Either way, basically everyone needs Mirage.
Nyx we trust.
Everyone needs Mirage to beat the Soniqs. That's really what the tail of the tape is. You guys have more than likely seen some tweets out of quite a few different people. The big one, Canadian, tweeted about it as well. So Flores and Finka are going to get removed from the offensive side past all of the social media stuff. And now we'll have to see if Mirage can put their money where their mouth is and get a game over on the Soniqs here for Villa. Soniqs will remove Zami on the defensive end. And what is Mirage thinking?
We'll find out in just a moment here. Already some interesting things to talk about with regards to the bans and how it's kind of developed over the course of the past week or so. Finka has been a mainstay, specifically in today's games as well. We've been seeing her banned out like crazy.
You know what I say?
What?
Good.
Just full chaos for you. Just
absolutely. Full on Elmo on fire.
You're just like, good. Let's get some more of that.
Good. Now kill her. I want Finka's next change to be that she just doesn't have a gun. She's actually a pacifist, and she just
she's
the
medic
people.
waiting behind the scrimmage line outside of these training exercises.
Exactly. And you know what, Ubi? You can give her one extra drone so that it equates. It's perfect. Fantastic.
She could just be the new recruit.
There you go. But besides that, into the map now, past those bans, and our very first defense is actually going to be Mirage, setting things up over inside of Trophy and Statuary. We just got off of a pretty hotly contested game. Well, I mean, you could say that, just depends on really how you look at it, but Parabellum with a pretty heck of a showing when it came to their Villa match up against TSM just moments ago, and now we get to see it all over again. Mirage going with actually a pretty similar setup to what we saw with this extension over towards AVG, but the Mira is going to be here for Marmalade to try and assist with some vision and to study.
Think of the Amaru teased, obviously, but it's been swapped out, so no Gar hooks this time for Yeti. That's going to be removed from play. Other than that, the only real change-up that we're going to be seeing on Mirage is Kento going over towards Mozzie. We have been seeing Mozzie trend down a little bit in terms of the pick rate recently.
You could say even more than that, my friend. Yeah. I don't even remember the last time we've seen a Mozzie.
So this is going to be actually a pretty far cry from what we've tended to expect inside of this slot, but it'll combine quite well with the usual addition of a mute to assist with him. So big emphasis from Mirage here on trying to deny the intel game. Like Stoke said, though, it's not really the way we've been seeing the game played recently, so this is going to be interesting to see how it plays out for Mirage.
Yeah, indeed. And the big thing is that Soniqs have access to a lot of different utility pieces that can completely circumvent both of their utilities, the big one being Yeti. Any of these EMPs will allow them to get open walls as well as get into rooms completely unimpeded, and that's exactly what we've seen. Kansan slides into Statuary and knows exactly where Marmalade lies, but do they know that Nyx is inside of the bathroom awaiting their arrival, swinging out for the window, but he's going to back off slowly. A Twitch drone's actually discovered another MRG location. It happens to be Marm again as she shifted over towards Concrete and is trying to hold things down on Master.
Away from that, still seeing things build up to a pretty slow broil here for the Soniqs. They're waiting for the first mistake to come out from Mirage, an aggressive peek or something else such as that they can use to springboard themselves into the site. Have not been able to get it working yet, although a nade's going to be thrusted upon Marm, forcing her out of the safe statue position, but honestly into another engagement here, at least for a second or two, until she rotates back out into the connector, leading into Statuary to group up with some of her teammates.
This is so awkward for Mirage, especially since they have so many bodies, but really the only one being on site was Nyx up until Melted walked his way back in. They've been able to slow down Soniqs, but is it going to make good on this promise of draining the time bank? Case now down, as Kansan had that in his hands. Marmalade will be able to pick that up from bench, but for this last minute, this looks like potentially Mirage has actually done it. They might have delayed long enough. Soniqs were just draining out Mirage's utility, and they've gotten Nyx down to nothing, and only one Nitro cell remains, but Mirage have hit their mark when it comes to the frags.
Grixer just sitting back, waiting now, hoping for someone else on Mirage to peep up. Mainly Melted in this scenario, but he's not giving away anything. Soniqs have to work for every inch from this point forward, and unfortunately, don't have a whole lot of time to try and work it themselves. They're still going to be able to get Yeti to the interior part of the site, but again, no peek. Finally, we get one from Melted, and since pretty much everybody on the Soniqs was paying attention to him, they're going to be able to melt him pretty quickly. He goes down. Now the focus from Yeti shifts over towards the red stairs, where they're going to catch Mar mid-transition, but Benji also ready for an immediate exchange. He takes Yeti right back out of the fight and still keeps a +1 advantage alive for Mirage, and oh no, a bad turn of events for Grixer as he walks into an area the map he was not expecting to find anyone. Goes down with the case in hand. And unfortunately for Super, there just really isn't enough time to find these last two players or get the case down on the ground. So Mirage will win it on the 0 timer.
Very well done from Mirage, leaning into their site setup and forcing the Soniqs into a time sink as they constantly try and get the utility out of the MRG defense. But, I mean, it's like trying to get blood from a stone. It just doesn't really work out for them. Eventually, Soniqs has to go for something else. They push themselves forward for a couple of the frags, a big piece being Yeti, as he tried to get control of bench and top red, and he accomplishes that, but Mirage even have that set up for a refrag, as Jaeger is all the way inside of 90 to take down Yeti for that situation. The Soniqs haven't been able to get their round just yet, but at least for the first round, it's looking like Blue might have a leg to stand on when it comes to the amount of rounds MRG gets.
We'll have to wait and see just how far Mirage can push this envelope, as it's a promising first round for them, even though we see things get a little bit close towards the end of it. I don't really think that Mirage were ever not in control of that situation, so still a confident win from them ultimately by the time the round is closed.
Got my eye on you, John Mullen. We'll make sure to keep you all updated as to how that's going as well. Mirage is going to throw themselves into kitchen and dining to potentially pull another one over the wall, or over the eyes of the Soniqs, as they will be out and about now here. And Grixer actually will be bringing in the Nook. Mirage is really loving this setup over here inside of ABG, and honestly, it's not a bad one. You really only have to give up a single reinforcement panel and a mirror window to try and slow things down on that study side and force the Soniqs clear if they want to try and go for that top portion of this section of the map. So honestly, not that bad of a setup to routinely be placing, but oh, this is getting pretty hairy, isn't it? Grixer currently downstairs in Art Studio. A very well-placed frag grenade could be the demise of Melted, but fortunately enough for his own graces, he's going to end up high-tailing it out of there, and he'll maintain his HP value as well. Grixer and Kento on a crash course here. Potential to meet, but it's actually Benji that could be on the receiving end, and it will be as, oh no, he's going to be able to skirt back up the staircase, and Grixer will be discovered on the mid-floor.
Still no frags coming out on either team's side. However, already a minute into the round. There's still plenty of time for the Soniqs to play into. Just a little bit unfortunate as they are not able to grasp that initial kill until finally the patience from Grixer pays out. He gets that rotate from Benji down through the Art Studio hatch and takes him down, but just as quickly, Nyx is going to be there for another exchange to keep Mirage on even footing with the Soniqs, bringing it down to a 4v4. Melted, in fact, will even push it a step further now, finding Super and eliminating the hard breach from the lineup.
Well, things quiet now. Soniqs pretty decently spread, all except for Kansan and Rexen, who are both working this far end of the map currently, right outside of Laundry as well as the Pantry Stairwell. This is going to allow Mirage to slow things down for their end as well. They just need to make sure that they know where the entry points are coming in from the Soniqs, and they definitely do. Rexen getting lit up quite a bit via Nyx, I do believe, but he's going to back up and be taken down inside of Kitchen. Grixer now has to look for some other pasture to work his way through, and it has the potential to be Bike. Kansan still holding on to Pantry here as well. Lots of time to try and figure out this puzzle, but could be quite a few missteps from both teams here, kind of on a knife's edge, especially after Melted goes down to Grixer, and Soniqs could potentially get this done. There is no way in hell that that just happened. Kento, I think he swung too far, but now Marmalade's been able to get one, and a little bit of damage back onto her, actually, as in fact there's two people down low. She was getting shot from the other way, and that was going to be Grixer, but Rexen now down as well, dancing back and forth, but Marm, she's going to occupy the angle while she has the mag out of her gun. A simple little misstep at the very tail end of that clutch is what punishes her, and the Soniqs get their first round.
Marm, though, getting way too close to the clutch. The Soniqs definitely need to clean things up there a little bit, as without her mistake, as you said, of staying in the open mid-reload, there's a very good possibility she is able to close out on that third player as well, mainly due to a lack of time, as we were encroaching on around 20 seconds remaining there. That player would have had a choice to make of either stick it in a different part of the site, which would have involved crossing into Marm's POV again, or just directly rotating back upstairs to contest Marm, where she probably would have been able to close out on the timer if she played it correctly. So a little unfortunate there. Mirage looking down the barrel of a 2-0, just barely to lose it, but the Soniqs, again, some good stabilization in the mid-round there, as they're running into a tough time getting access to the site. Called off the aggression, backed up, and aside from the missteps with Marm, did a pretty fantastic job of clearing the insight setup.
Yeah, you can definitely say that for the Insight setup. I think what Mirage has been doing that's really been getting into the way of the Soniqs' progress is how they've been holding the entire map. Because if you've noticed, Soniqs really like to try and get a player in on these far-reaching areas. Whatever site we're on is obviously going to be the opposite. So if it's, Trophy Statuary, you might try and get somebody in at the bottom of main or art studio or something like that, just like we saw with Grixer. The Soniqs really enjoy doing that. When you have a full map hold like the way that Mirage has, there's a lot of different complicated things going on all at once, and they all require an answer, some more than others, and the bigger ones more than likely are going to be the thing that gets you the dub at the end of that round. So it's kind of seeing your way through the thick of it and knowing, okay, we really don't have to deal with some of the stuff that's going on over here inside of AVG as long as we accomplish these tasks more near sight and play it a little bit more tight-knit. Soniqs are kind of getting out there off in theory land sometimes over here on this portion of the map, and it's letting Mirage not only dwindle down that timer, but punish them in some certain moments that we've saw already. But fortunately enough, the Soniqs, I mean, they've been playing well. There's no if and or buts about it, and they're looking to do even more inside of this round with Yeti and a Gara hook at his hands, prepared to fly through 90 window.
Waiting for this Toxic Babe to fade away. He'll have to be careful, as I believe there's going to be a few more in the pocket. The defenders, never mind, actually, as Kansan just killed the player that would have had those in his very same pocket. Yeti now with access to the site. He's using it to immediately try to harass the setup, but not paying attention to the gun vault position. Benji will counter him out. Marm will find another pickup against Rexon as well. Things are looking a bit more bleak here for the Soniqs all of a sudden, as while the actual execute was good with a kill behind it, the follow-through has left them a player down.
Ding, that's exactly what it is, John. We have Yeti pushing all the way through sight, but not a single other Soniqs member is there to even try and assist him. They're still all in rappel or near the top of main stairs. It's just mistimed, and now Mirage have somehow ended up with the man advantage that should have been the Soniqs in the first place. Kansan has a cross here for gun vault. Mirage needs to play as patiently as humanly possible. You cannot give Soniqs a frag right now. You want to make them work for it. They have 0 grenades here, Benji. Just do not overswing.
Mirage have been very, very cautious so far inside of this round, and with good reason too. You can see how torn apart their site setup already is. Gunvault's been open for a solid minute, and still the Soniqs unfortunately have not been able to build up a confident enough position to work their way
my
in.
God.
What a shot from Benji as he goes directly for the contestant against Grixer and is able to knock him out despite Grixer having full intel about the play that was about to befall him. Beautifully done. Now Mirage are in complete control, bringing this down to a 4v2. Soniqs only have the top stairs position to play from. Super's going to try to start working this through study, but it's just not happening here. Kansan, though, starting to change things up for the Soniqs. He at least finds the pick onto Marm and gets the team some interior site access.
Super, as well as Kansan, working their way in behind the games bar. They've started at the plant, and Kansan, no, he doesn't have the kill. Instead, Super's Overwatch has been gunned down, and Nyx will secure that kill as well. All trust lies on the shoulder of Nyx for North America up against the Soniqs as he'll take down Super, and Mirage leads the Soniqs at the current moment. 2 rounds already secured. That's exactly the round count that Caliber Jacob said that Mirage would more than likely get, and they've already done it inside of 3.
It's beautifully done from Mirage here, already taking control of 2 rounds back-to-back here, looking to try and claim a third for themselves. Keep in mind, they are going to have a slight advantage here on Villa playing into the defensive sides. They're going to want to try to claim as much as possible, but already things are looking good. If they can replicate this ratio all the way up to the 6th round, they'll be potentially... Yeah, I know, I said it.
Can you replicate this ratio, John?
Hey. Go away. I got this right.
All right, okay, cool. Anyway.
Mirage will potentially be able to set up a 4-2 scoreline if they can take it all the way there. That was what I meant by ratio.
Can you hold this? Can you hold this for me? I may or may not.
He just showed an L to my face. So. Yeah.
Hey, to be fair, we're in between rounds. Okay, you can't get mad at me. All right. Either way, Mirage still sticking to this defensive setup with the mirror window. And like I was saying before, this is just a really nice setup for the AVG area if you're trying to slow down the take from the Soniqs. And it's really been getting inside of SQ's head because they don't know how they want to try and open up these rounds. They've just gotten to the point where they're like, all right, well, we know what the end game should be. At the initial part, we're just trying to reach that point by any means necessary. So I'm hoping that inside of this first minute and a half, we have more of a central vision going on for our offensive side.
Let's see if that will come to bear here, however, as the Soniqs have been struggling to get themselves with the right footing. The good news is this site was one of the brighter ones for their attack, so going to have to see if they can replicate that same degree of success with obviously having the Soniqs out on the board. Now we can already start to see a few of their players beginning to surround those upstairs positions by Master, but at the same time, Melted still holding some downstairs presence. Won't really be able to do anything wild with it, like running out the door. Obviously, the map layout just doesn't really allow for that, but still can cause some issues here, as more than likely, Soniqs would like to send 1 or 2 players down here for the clear, and at the moment, just not going to be able to do that with him in the way.
On a complete side note, but I completely forgot that the side of the Rick and Morty shotgun for the M590 has a big sticker on it that says fake gun. It's just so very funny. And speaking of funny things, the Nitro Cell more than likely to answer for this plant here. Kento, that was a little late there. They're going to have the smoke instead to stop it. I think Kento should. Let's see. He actually has barbed wire. What in the hell is going on? He's now dead to Rexen as they try and rotate up. Kansan gets the plant down. As I was talking about previously, I'm very happy that the Soniqs have a more central vision of what's going on inside of these opening moments. It gets them a plant, and now Mirage has to try and work their way back into this. Marmalade right outside of Boar at the current moment, but Super awaiting her arrival. Nyx is going to go down next. That's a dead Marmalade, and it's all left up to Benji.
Benji gonna have to contest directly on top of the case. Even he'll get that pick, or at least get the down, but won't even get credit for it, as he doesn't get the full kill, unfortunately. The round closes out, and the strategy for the Soniqs to give a complete lack of respect to the interior site defense works out beautifully as they brute force their way into a plant and another round victory.
This is a no respect zone, sir. You can't respect the defensive end when you're trying to get in there and get done with some of these dirty jobs. But I will say this: I really enjoyed what we saw to the Soniqs for that round, because that's the immediate answer that we needed for a setup like Mirage's with such an extended play. I mean, there's no real reason for them to try and clear the full breadth of this map when they can use their full, man count actually towards the site and apply so much damage and just pressure to this defensive end. It makes it super difficult for them to really accomplish anything. I would like to point out just the opening moments of that execute there from the Soniqs, where we see the rush in from Grixer to get the plant down, or Super, whoever it was for them at that current moment.
I think it was Grixer.
Yeah, I do believe so as well. But past that, the rush in with the immediate smoke answer, but the Nitro Cell to follow it up as well, you can tell that Mirage was a little discombobulated that was going on in that current moment. They thought the Soniqs were going to take their time and try and mess with some of the setups around the map, but obviously not. And, oh man, looks like we're going to have some more fun here on Villa. This is exactly what I was pointing out there, Blue, as Kento is back on the dock. This time, though, we're not going to have the French shoddy, so I'm a little disappointed.
Yeah, we did see a dock pick yesterday. Apparently, that was a complete accident from what I was told after the game, and we just had an accidental 3K on the dock shotgun yesterday. So what will the rifle give us? Is obviously that's a bit more capable in terms of its capabilities across the map. I was not going to see any runouts or direct peeks into spawn because we're kind of past that point in the round, but still a lot can be built up by Kento here, specifically at long-range angles. So I'm curious to see what he's going to be trying to play into specifically, whether it's going to be the cross-played from Trophy or another position.
Absolutely. Now for the Soniqs, they work their way in upstairs. Rexen taking some heat, but Nyx downed in the engagement that they just had through the floorboards. On top, well, that'll be Nyx getting recovered. Fortunately enough, Kento exists and he's docked. So it's going to be the very first time in a very long time, Blue, that we're going to be able to say somebody got docked up and we actually meant dock. Very crazy. We're usually worried about adrenal boosts and Kona stations. Never dock when it comes down to it. And Melted knocking the head off of Kansan. Beautiful shot and a beautiful kill because of it. That's going to be the sledge down, and oh my, Marmalade disrespects Rexen as she hops into Ivy.
Over the top ropes to get that one done. Bye-bye to Rexen. I don't realistically think Super's going to want to try and go for this res. He's actually got a lot of freedom to move right now, so he might end up going for it at the end of the day.
There's not a soul around him.
Yeah.
He's got like 100 yards of clearance.
A little bit lucky in that respect here, since thankfully this was the last of the extended game for Mirage, with Marm hopping back down, and no one wants to take the challenge on reascending that staircase, as more than likely someone from the Soniqs would be waiting on that angle. So they just have to be okay with the 20 damage that'll be left on Rexen now that he gets himself back up. A little bit of a cautious battle right now. They both know they're there, but at the same time, neither one wants to fight. Nyx is going to end up backing away from this, just like his opponent does.
Yeah. Quite the challenge there from Nyx, but the big thing is because of all these hotly contested moments that really haven't built up anything for the Soniqs, the timer is so very low. 45 seconds, yes, they have top floor control, but really doesn't mean all that much when Mirage have their full man count and as many angles as they can possibly muster holding down the site setup. Even all the way down to the basement is a Mirage body, so they're trying to make sure that no one is allowed to try and find safe quarter around the site. Soniqs will try and apply their last frag grenade out of Grixer, but it lands on deaf ears. And with 20 seconds remaining, Soniqs have to push themselves forward. It's looking like an IV hop here for Super. The more and more we look at it, but he's going to actually shift on over to Ivy. Back we go. He'll jump right into the open arms of Benji, who now has case control, and they'll back things off. This is looking like a flawless round, unless Yeti can get a kill here, and, well, he's not going to die at least. So a makeshift one for Mirage as they play it out perfectly for their defensive end.
The loss is symptomatic for exactly what you said in the middle of the round. They're wasting so much time in those individual gun duels on the extension up by Trophy that they never really had time to build up a solid strat for the actual execute into the site. As a result of that, just tried to kind of hop over the banister, get themselves in there. Super immediately drops the case, and that's the end of the round right there, pretty much.
Yeah, I think the best way to put it is kind of the thing that I said earlier. The Soniqs know what they want to do at the end of the round. They just don't know how to get there. And that's been the big issue, is that they can't work through a lot of Mirage's defensive setups, and it's proven to be pretty problematic for them.
So Mirage continues to maintain the lead as we reach the bitter end of the first half here. One final defensive round potentially coming up on the board. If they can swing it, of course, it's going to be here inside of AVG. The delay element's already being set up, mainly on the main stairs. You can see one of the Goyo canisters being deployed. Plenty more of usual spread will be deployed up top on the stairs as well, such as the shield, the two ADSs. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a second Goyo somewhere in the neighborhood, but they do need to save a few of those for the actual site, so going to be looking for that as well. But regardless, the prep time is now over. We did see a few repicks for the Soniqs there. As you can see, the Nook as well as the Jackal, and even the Ace is going to be swapped in here for the top three players. Soniqs want to add a little bit more sneaky capability to this, and as well, Kansan apparently trying to catch the more mobile members of Mirage.
You know, the more and more that I think about it, with how this game is starting to build up and kind of the storylines that we've had throughout this year.
I should have predicted Mirage.
I mean, you
honestly,
really should have.
At this point in the game.
You really should have.
I was thinking about it for a second, but I was like, no, I got to be objective here. Like, on paper, the Soniqs should be winning this game, but
yeah, by like
as usual in Siege, what's on paper is never the full story by any extent.
It's any given Sunday, brother. You already know that. Come on, come on. Yeah, are you telling me that you made a decision and you thought that it was going to be automatically right because somebody else told you so? Disgusting. Frankly, I'm appalled, Blue. So, Soniqs, they're going to open things up like they had been for quite some time throughout these rounds. We're going to have Yeti actually on the Nook this time. Instead, as it's usually Grixer that we see over inside of this position, but he's going to be working a very similar space inside of Art Studio. They'll have Kansan here as well. He'll have the Jackal Inox, so I'll have the capability to track down some of these defensive members and see if they can get a pretty cheeky pick here, at least initially. As for Mirage, though, it's just been awaiting the Soniqs, really. They've been really leaning into this info game and making sure that they're not going to get punished for trying to take control of these areas around the site.
It's going to make its explosion atop. Unfortunately, a little bit too late, as the intended target, you probably noticed, evacuated the room about 5 seconds prior to it being thrown. So no significant damage coming onto anybody there. Might have bled a little bit on the Nyx, but I'm pretty sure that came from a separate battle. One more chance at this coming out here for Grixer. Never mind, it's actually Grixer's first nade. So we were seeing before was Yeti's usage. So Grixer going to try and line up one of these, but he's lost the target. And he's correct about that assumption that the target has moved onwards, although one of them still ends up going out to relatively non-existent damage on anyone from Mirage. We'll see if that second one comes out now or if they'll potentially save it for the site execute. Either way, Kento lining up for a big swing here, but he's going to have direct contention against him. He's got to time this right. He'll find the right timing. It moves in. That's 1-2. The third player didn't even seem aware of it for a moment, but Super, thankfully, is given the time to catch it and trade out the play from Kento.
Soniqs, yet again, 45 seconds on the clock. This seems to be the time that Soniqs get punished over and over again. Not able to find an opener that is exactly something they can push themselves forward with, and always somehow making its way down to these dying moments. Grixer will be able to at least equalize with the kill onto Benji, but Super taking a lot of heat inside of that last engagement is going to complicate things as he's the case bearer. Nyx is going to hold things down inside of Study, and a beautiful shot out of Marmalade. She has been lights out here today and making things so difficult for the Soniqs when it comes to the frag department. She's looking for even more. more as there's going to be 2 built up around the area. Another kill soon to follow, but it's going to go to Melted again, and Mirage put 4 defensive rounds together.
Mirage beautifully done inside of the first half, and it's kind of be frustrating for the Soniqs. Mirage are playing so unpredictably on their defensive side right now. They don't know when they're going to go for a passive hold and just sit in the site and wait for the execute, or plays like this will end up coming out from guys like Kento. They don't know when they're going to go for a wild swing. They don't even know when plays like this are going to be happening, when there's going to be an aggressive position postured out from the site. You just don't really know what to expect going into these site attacks for the Soniqs, so they struggle tremendously to get their rounds on the board, only 2 being translated in the first half. They need to make up for it now as Mirage, going into the second half, are only 3 away from locking out this game.
If we were only allowed 1 word to break it down...
Hold on. Wait a second.
Who would win in a boxing match? If you guys...
Important update.
50 Cali Jakey.
Who put that in there?
That's amazing. Anyways, give
What's
us the results. It's Tommy, yes, yes. I literally said right after they got out of desk, everybody, that, you know, if this were real, Tommy actually has a pretty serious advantage. Like, we're talking like straight like MMA. Like, this man, he's built for this, dude. He's got that low center of gravity. I bet if he throws a fist at you, it's like a canned ham. Like, I mean, Tommy's built for this, man.
Siege fights coming to you soon. Not actually. But anyway.
We got commentary for it.
That's
I bet
true.
Parker would have a great time.
We're standing by if you need us. But as we get into the next round, in the first of the second half, and it's time for the Soniqs to show us what they can do on the defensive side here, and as well, looking over on the attacking side, indeed, we
Love a little Benji.
We are going to get that buck on the Benji here. You were talking about in the last game how it might have been good. That was, to be fair, on an Oregon matchup there, about how we could see it potentially utilized. Buck has not really been an operative and seeing a whole lot recently, so it's good to see Benji bringing that into the fold.
He's just an amazing jack of all trades. You have stuns as a secondary or secondary hard breach, an amazing assault rifle that a lot of people really enjoy using with the C8. Access to magnified sights and the skeleton key that you can use not only from a top down, but from a down up POV when it comes to breaking up soft destruction. So that skeleton key is a very special tool inside of Rainbow Six. The way that you and I were talking about earlier was more the CQC situation inside of stock, that the skeleton key could have helped with just a little bit. You know, having access to that underbarrel shotgun could have definitely helped. But I mean, that's neither here nor there. More than likely with this setup, it's going to be down low where they'll try to break out underneath a lot of these Soniqs members in places like Gun Vault, as well as behind the game's bar. But as you've seen, Mirage has already gotten their initial frag onto Kansan, of all people.
Rough start to the round for Kento, but as you said there, they quickly make up for it with the outright kill against Kansan. Gonna see here if Kento can do this correctly this time. There we go. And the nade actually creeps through. Oh, and Super, how are you alive right now? Just barely sneaks himself behind the top rope of the stairs and is gonna be able to keep himself preserved here. Gets the Toxic Babe out as well, so that warrants the respect from Nyx or whoever it was that made the play there. Unfortunately, not gonna be able to re-peek that to take Super down outright.
Nope, definitely not the case. But now the Mirage running into very similar issues like what we saw from the Soniqs. Yes, they've gotten the initial kill, onto Kansan, but past that, haven't really accomplished too much. Need to start looking for more map control here, because this has actually allowed Rexon to work his way in through a different means over towards Trophy, and now the Soniqs starting to accomplish way too much for this Mirage onslaught, as they're going to pick up 2 quick kills onto Kento and Melted. Soniqs starting to make a stand when it matters most.
Keep in mind how important this game is for the Soniqs. They, too, are looking to lock themselves in for a position at the Major, but they're definitely going to want the regulation win, especially against Mirage, to be able to do this. Mirage, unfortunately, has sat at the bottom of the barrel so far in this stage. Good recovery being made by Benji prevents this from going down to a 1v3. Unfortunately, Nyx only going to have that 20 HP to scavenge after he takes down Super, so this is still going to be a rough task when you, again, consider the time that's remaining as well. Grixer, more than ready for the challenge from Benji, makes quick work of that, and for Nyx, not really any play capability for him. Going to try to go for the Hail Mary nade, hope it lines up. Won't happen. He'll make this play and immediately get knocked out, so it's a quick win from the Soniqs to start out the second half.
4-3 as the Soniqs start to bring things back. Mirage not making any headway towards the site at all. A lot of those kills coming through different means, whether it be through verticality or just challenging members players off-site. That's really all that came to bear for the offense. They couldn't get a single foot inside the door of AVG as Sonic stood steadfast, especially around main stairs until Super went down in those dying moments. Now within arm's reach to reach out and grasp a hold of Mirage in that fourth round to tie things up. The Soniqs, with that opportunity in mind, move on over to Trophy and Statuary, not feeling kitchen just yet, feeling like this upstairs area could provide some better defensive setup for them.
Well, we've got an update from our admin team, ladies and gentlemen, on potentially who is going to be making it to Berlin as a result of
I got
the
scared
Soniqs.
for a second, I'll be honest.
No. Nothing happened in this game. The Soniqs got a third round on the board, and as a result of that, unfortunately, Beast Coast now out of the running for the major.
Oh, just like that?
Yep. Because I believe it would have involved a tiebreaker, and I think like head-to-head stuff or round differential stuff makes it play out that way because the Soniqs got a third round here. So,
well, it's drip or drown, and yikes.
So unfortunate for the Beast Coast fans out there. We have knocked out 2 teams from contention now, but we still have every single other team with a possibility to make it to the major. So still a very, very close season, ladies and gentlemen, as we have 8 potential teams to make it and only 4 slots. So half of the remaining teams are still going to get knocked out at some point between today and next Tuesday.
We'll say this before we get too deep. There might be one good thing, and it's the fact that Drip is more than likely going to be co-streaming the Berlin Major, which might be even better than him being there. So, past that though, Mirage, they're looking to get something done here inside of this opening minute. Really, it's just been a setup around the outside of the building and trying to get these drones in, poke and prod to see where the setup of the Soniqs is. And quite a few bodies upstairs, but one also downstairs inside of library. That might be why Kento's starting to move in. I don't know if he actually knows that this player was around the space. He'll be able to get rid of at least the Mozzie pest, but it's going to require a little bit more heavy lifting from MRG to actually discover this player.
Still relatively inactive from both teams. You can see the respect starting to grow amongst both of them. Grixer,
Fire that droner right now. Cut the contract.
Just
get him out.
knocks out the utility and works himself forward to catch Kento. No idea that Grixer was even in this position. Free as day right now here for the Soniqs. The good news, though, once again, this has always been the case, kind of for both teams, but Mirage very, very quick on those trades. They're going to prevent this from going too far south and trade it back down to a 4v4.
If I have to watch a pro player miss-drone another player again today, I'm actually just gonna. My mental
it's been like 3 times today now.
Like,
I think.
Oh my goodness, great! It's like the first thing they teach you in Rainbow Six. Check your corners with your drones. I mean, but you do kind of have to give them the benefit of the doubt in the same breath, just because, like you were talking about, whenever we do come to Villa, this place has so many spots to sit. So does end up happening a little bit more often than not when it comes to a map like this. Just unfortunate circumstances either way befall Mirage, as they'll be lacking their nook now. But nice frag grenade, or actually, excuse me, shoe on the other foot there. Nitro Cell from Grixer to take down Melted, and the Soniqs is pulled ahead here inside of the last minute.
Soniqs looking good indeed to try and tie things up, but they need to push it one step further here and deny the outright execution. The good news is that they've limited the options for Mirage severely. Not going to be able to work their way in through Master Bath until these toxic waves fade away. Should still, actually no, they're completely out, so they are going to be clear to move forward after this one goes away. But aside from that, only moving in from this bedroom side is generally speaking a very easy execute in most situations to shut down. So we have to see if the Soniqs will bring that prophecy to be true. Already have knocked out Marm on the push forward. A nice shot from Super as well. Sneaking the pellets in against Nyx, and finally Kansan to close out. That's a consistent win from the Soniqs, and they've now tied the game up.
Dude, those shells are not regulation. That was like 00 buckshot inside of that thing.
Snuck one of the TCSG shots in there.
Yeah, I just walked up. He's like, hey, Kai, do you mind if I borrow these real quick?
3 of these.
Boom, boom, boom. Like, oh, a little rough there. A little rough. I can't, oh my goodness gracious. I can't remember the actual full skit right now, but Dave Chappelle's got a pretty good thing about like shotgun rounds. It's like, at the very end, it's Jamaican. Buckshot, buckshot, buckshot. A lot of their time. I'm excited to see what the answer is going to be, because we've had a lot of just like little one-off things happening from Mirage. A single player creeps in down low at the bottom of main and then goes into library or something like that. Not really a full breadth team play at the current moment just yet. So could see some pretty interesting stuff building up for this kitchen take.
Got Rexon with an interesting operator choice as well. The Capcan going to show up, try to capitalize on these haphazard executes that we've generally been seeing throughout the course of the matchup. I will say Mirage has been a little bit more cautious with their play, so I don't necessarily know if this is going to work. Rexon's bid to potentially catch a few players in the dying moments of the round. It's that specific scenario. When we get down to like 10 to 15 seconds, that'll probably work out the best, but like I said, Mirage has generally been pretty good with their clears so far, aside from a few small gaps like we saw in the previous round, so should be able to get past these EDDs without too much of a problem.
So, a few traps built up for the Soniqs. Good intel game here as well, coming out from Grixer, as those evil eyes will be applied accordingly around the actual site. But for the rest of this, it's built up upon what's going on upstairs. More than likely be holding on to this for some time and trying to play off of their traps. Have quite a few members, actually Yeti and Rexon, all the way over towards the south end. This has actually made it to where there's a little bit of a soft spot up top, but not exactly soft, as Super could end up punishing out any of the players from Mirage that want to move up through that floor via a Nitro cell. And speaking of moving through floors, Melted, hot to trot when it comes up this far stairwell, right underneath Astronomy at the current moment. Could try and sneak his way in through China, right outside to his left, right in where Grixer's playing at the current moment.
Well, once again, a minute gone from the round, and for the most part, just utility usage coming in from Mirage so far. Not taking any huge steps forward to try to steal away map control from the Soniqs, but I believe that is about to change. Melted, oh no, gonna try and lurk back in. It's close, but he gets the opening kill. Problem is, he's got no intel. You can see him searching for targets like crazy. So it's gonna be a quick exchange from Super, a 1-to-1, but what does it lead into here? Is Kento is only just now trying to sneak through Laundry. Super and the rest of the Soniqs reading this play like a book at the moment. They knew the follow-through was gonna be coming. Unfortunately, it was way too slow from Mirage, and they're not paying the price for it. But starting to course correct here as Benji gets another frag against Kenzen.
Some beautiful fights here, and Benji doing the most right now from Pantry. Kento to take down Super, and it's left up to Yeti. He's somehow gotten back into sight and found himself a Kento, but Nyx discovers him from China. And Mirage maintain their advantage, even though it just got tied up from the Soniqs. It's now 5-4 in favor of MRG.
+1 for Mirage. The hopes of the upset still alive and well here if they can claim 2 more rounds out of the next 3, including the 10th coming up here, where we're going to see the Soniqs fall back on AVG after having success, pretty easy success too, earlier on in the half. We need to see some big improvements made here for Mirage, because this was a rough take back in the first round.
Yeah, initially that didn't really look like it was going to go Mirage's way, but then out of the blue, literally out of the ether, we have somebody work their way up pantry stairs, and Benji able to secure not only the first kill, but assist in the second one that I believe we saw Melted pick up. But either way, an amazing round there from Mirage, and working together, John. That's the biggest thing. A lot of team play there that made it very difficult on a lot of the Soniqs site setup players to try and fight back. When you have a multitude of different angles to try and occupy at the exact same time, you're more than likely going to run into some pretty big issues. And, well, past some big issues, we have one that could be pretty interesting for the Soniqs, depending on what they've brought to the table. And, well, they've brought not a single piece of utility that sees through Sense's wall, John, as we will have them for the first time in quite some time.
Yeah, we've been seeing a few teams kind of toy around with Sense for the most part, but they haven't seen a whole lot of use inside of the league here. Just a few Far Cry strategies that, for the most part, haven't really worked out that well as of yet. So time to see if another one will potentially come to bears here, as quite a few teams trying to make this new operator work, because obviously this is the first operator to be directly added into the competitive pool. We don't have that 3-month quarantine period anymore, so they've been allowed directly into play. Teams have been struggling, though, to find proper uses in the long term for this operator.
We'll have to see how they try and apply them, as Sense pretty unique in the way that they handle things. Wow. I am actually flabbergasted that killed Super there. I assume that a lot of the deployable shield would eat most of that explosive up, but he's dead as a doornail.
I think he
may be
down. Maybe he backed up like slightly too far.
Oh my God!
From Nyx,
oh
though!
My God, Nyx! Disgusting. disgusting scene inside of AVG. Yes, well, the smoke doesn't exactly work out, does it, John? But the gun, oh, that thing works pretty damn well.
Whereas the distraction of anything, he throws it out, gets his opponent, be like, ooh, pretty colors. Oh, wait, I'm dead. And now Nyx makes his entry into the site. Kansan ready to try and challenge. Grix are trying to do the same thing, but he also falls to a member of Mirage. Benji knocking him down, leaving only Kansan in the fight here. Not going to be able to stop the plant realistically, and Nyx as well rushing forward to get one more as a flawless round comes up on the board, and pretty much instantly, the Soniqs will call for a tactical.
I straight up cannot even believe my eyes.
Yes, you're going to see here on the top of your screen in a second, they are inside of our top 4 currently, but with teams being so close to each other, it's very, very easy for them to be bounced out of it. So while we may not see an immediate effect on their position as a direct result of the loss from this game, it may come out in a huge factor when we get to next Tuesday and the final games are played. That's what people have to keep in mind here as the Soniqs continue to stay in the top 4 to try and earn a spot at Berlin. For Mirage, though, like we said before, they've been out, and they unfortunately were the first team to get out. They've known that for quite a few days now, but it seems that that freedom, not having to worry about the pressure of qualifying and a few other things as well, has freed this team up a little bit, and they're playing fantastically today against the Soniqs.
Absolutely. You know, it really seems like Nyx, ever since he's rejoined this team, he's kind of starting to be the glue of this squad. They're starting to play off of each other more, a little bit more malleable in some of the different plays that they're looking to make. Really, it's been very, very solid. I'm excited to see what they can try and do for stage 3 once we reach that. But first things first, we have to close out their second to last game of the stage. And we could do it all right here with this Soniqs defense that Mirage is looking to steal away inside of Trophy and Statuary.
One final round, one final successful attack is all we need to get out of the members of Mirage here, and they will complete the set. But for it, the Soniqs, they too are looking to bring things back under their own control, and they are going to be able to get in the way of this initial clear by having a pretty hefty presence in the inside and near the Astro stairs. This will prevent the members of Mirage from having the confidence to swing forward immediately here. They're still going to be able to get pretty free access to Master as well as the walk-in, though not going to see any contest there made by the Soniqs. So the first step is completed by Mirage without them having to do all that much.
Oh, that is so unfortunate. Gonna have an impact go through, but it won't get the other Soma charge. So now there's a massive hole in the very middle of that wall, and Benji's set up the entire bathroom to make it practically impossible to rotate through. I'm a little worried. Okay, cool. Nyx did not end up breaking that shield there. Breaching charges sometimes just interact really weird with their environment, so you always gotta be a little wary about where you place those things in accordation to the rest of your team's utility. Kento, not quite as accommodating as we saw up top, as he'll nearly gun down Grixer, but and I'm not even joking about this, if he didn't have the suppressor, that man is dead as a doornail.
So probably going to be regretting the attachment choice, but no time to worry about that right now. They're still getting more damage on other players in this team, but Kansan as well, running back up. Nyx to quickly correct against Super and bring it back down to a 4v4. Keep in mind, too, look at the amount of HP on the remaining members of the Soniqs. Grixer's one shot away from dying. Rexon's at about half. Yeti's at about half. This is not good at the moment for the Soniqs. They didn't bring a Thunderbird this time, nor do they have a Doc, obviously, so there's no way to boost these players back up. This is going to be incredibly tense, and Mirage have to know it because they've taken a moment back to reset themselves here before probably going for the final all-in execute. You can see here too, Grixer still maintaining a bit of a lock-in to stop the swing up through Astro stairs, and that's incredibly pivotal. As long as he stays alive here, the Soniqs will more than likely be able to maintain some control over this situation. Benji, though, with the first pickup of the next engagement. Rexon and Grixer both succeed in picking up their kills, but Marv coming out potentially in the clutch yet again. However, Grixer left alive downstairs. I told you he was the key piece of this puzzle, and he may have just saved the round for his team. Nyx is now alone in the 1v2. You've got to put your trust in him in a big way now, as this will be a massive clutch if he can make it happen. He'll be pushing forward. Saw that Tracer, so he knows that someone's sitting outside of the connector. They don't seem to realize he's wrapping around, but at the same time, he's not going to notice this player at the bottom of red stairs. Grixer is the hero that saves the Soniqs and pushes them into one more round.
Oh, the tiniest speck of tunnel vision on the player inside of Bench's blue. He just doesn't think about the red angle. So unfortunate there for Mirage, but fortunately enough, they still have an opportunity to close it out before we get to overtime here. This is going to be our last round of regulation. It's taken us up to this moment to decide who is going to take this game, and Soniqs have decided to take us to an AVG defense for possibly our last round as of now. So with that being said, we'll see what they can potentially muster. They've had some strong showings thus far, but these openers have not really been the greatest when it comes down to it. Even that last round there, although they were able to slow down Mirage inside of Master, if that little situation goes just slightly into the favor of Mirage in those dying moments, like for instance, maybe the Twitch gets the kill downstairs on Grixer, that's a Mirage round. So it's just so very close, on a knife's edge in between these two, and now Mirage with another opportunity. But unfortunately for this round, we're not going to have the sense like we did the last.
No, we are not. We are going to see a small change-up, though, in the hard breach, as we're going to go from an ace over towards a Hibana instead for Marm. So we'll see what she can work with that. Type 89 going to change up the gun a little bit. Still just as proficient as that AK can potentially be on ace, though she shouldn't be lacking of anything. They're just going to have to back up to reload a little bit more often now.
Very good call on that. Lacking a couple of bullets, that's about it. As the Type 89 actually one of the best ARs for damage in the entire game, and it just so happens to be beat out by, get this, the AK-12, which is the best one in the entire game. So, with that being said now, Soniqs be holding things up inside of the building. Grixer will be over inside of the long hall. Mirage haven't really made a decision as to which portion of the map they actually want to start working through. They've got some drones down low and a dead Grixer who doesn't...
that nade even
just doesn't move.
Did he just chuck that casually from down below?
You're damn right he did, my friend. he chucked that right through the window and just blew him sky high. And wow, what a moment there.
Here's the big problem too. Look at the scores. Grixer,
oh wait, no, that was from the outside window that bounced in.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Nyx was just chilling down there and just chucked it in and it banked off the window and killed him. Beautifully done. And again, to push the point home, Grixer is a massive heavyweight at the moment for the Soniqs. He's 15-6. The next most proficient player on the entire squad is 6-7.
He's a pretty slender guy. I don't know how he fits all of the Soniqs, especially Yeti, on his back, but he's doing a great job of it at the current moment. Kento, oh my, what a shot from Kansan to take down Melted there. A little bit of an awkward situation, but it works out for the defense either way. Still got some frag grenades down low to try and use, and Nyx not really knowing where the home of that one should be, and now Kento with a pretty aggressive look through the smoke, and he makes it all the way through, able to take down the smoke. Need to confirm that before you could try and swing any farther, my friend, and he will indeed. It's a 2 versus 4 now as Mirage are able to take full control of this after another kill onto, I do believe, Super. It's up to Yeti and Rexen now, as he'll be occupying games. Rexen will be inside of planes, a drone spooling up towards his location over there, as a majority of the Mirage members are around the study area.
It's going to be a push almost entirely from that side. We're going to see as well Thatcher utilized here to try and deal with some of the utility on the walls. They'll use that to actually mask flashbangs as well. Rexen will get blinded out for a second, but he does expect this play to come from the backside of Red. I do believe one of the 4 members from Mirage sneaking around there. Important kill from Yeti as well to knock out Marm, deny additional hard breach from working its way in. That means Case goes down on the ground also. Time quickly running out here as Yeti gets another kill, but he'll lose his only other teammate. It's all on Yeti, and he can't do it. Mirage pull off the upset and deny the major berth here for the Soniqs. They've got to wait a few more days to try and confirm their spot, as Mirage once again is able to bring in the upset against them to find a massive victory at the bitter end of regulation time.
King Nyx is able to get it done.